Thank you for all the folks who are sticking around. Hopefully it will be worth your while. I'll take some inspiration from Helen, and if you really need to go, I'm going to start from the end. Please stick around, but I'll start from the end. The two really critical success factors that we've been using in Teridion is piggybacking on someone else and have zero ego in our marketing, okay? And this is our key to success. So if you need to go, but please stay. Hopefully it's intriguing. Okay, so I'll really zoom through things because we're short on time. Basically, hopefully you guys can relate to this situation where your Zoom has frozen again. Hopefully you can see this guy. So we've all been there through COVID and other times where, you know, we work from home. There's a lot of hybrid work that's going on, and we've all been here. Essentially, what Teridion does is we fix this. We make the internet work no matter what. For some businesses, when the internet doesn't work, it's not a big deal, but for others, it's really critical. And just some examples from recent months, you know, retailers, right? Sectors that you wouldn't really think of, some of those who heavily rely on internet, they really suffer when there's an IT outage. So for example, McDonald's stores, their kiosk went offline a few months ago, and they had to close down shops. They really lost businesses. Panera Bread, also same story. And the threads on Reddit were just horrendous. Like their brand took a really, really major hit from this IT outage. So basically being offline for them is big mistake, huge. And what's also big and huge is the cloud. So again, I won't go through all the stats. This is just a stats with many numbers just to convince you that a lot of business is going on the cloud these days. You all know it. We're using cloud-based applications like Zoom and Slack and Microsoft 365. The world has really, really changed. And a lot of the workload that we do is on the cloud. And that's where Teridion comes in. We are a network as a service that operates on the cloud, and we make sure that all the cloud networks works. And the way we do it is by piggybacking. So if you, oh, here it is. You see those small dots right here. These are what we call POPs, points of presence. So we essentially piggyback on other cloud providers like AWS, like Google, like Microsoft Azure that many of you might know. And we piggyback on them, and we find the optimal path between any 2 points on the internet to make sure that our customers always get connectivity and they're always on. So we do it in a very easy way for them to implement, and 100% software, yada, yada, yada. So this is our product. This is who we are. We work with direct customers, especially enterprises with global operations that have high sensitivity to work outages. The leading sectors that we work with are manufacturing and financial services, healthcare and retail. And we also work with partners, telcos like the Bezeqs of the world, managed service providers, and security companies who really need connectivity for what we call a SASE offering. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term SASE. It's essentially security and connectivity. So for any company that operates on the cloud, they need both. So security companies do not have connectivity. This is why we work together. So today we're going to talk about a telco, a small telco called Deutsche Telekom. No, kidding, they're not small. They're the 5th largest telco out there. And we're going to talk about our journey together and how we make it a success. So like in every journey, in any story, you need a little bit of luck. And we got this like one luck back in 2020. We got our first email from DT product team inquiring about our product. In hindsight, we know that they did it because they noticed that the world was adopting cloud, but they were a huge telco dinosaur. They didn't have any cloud infrastructure. They didn't know how to get it done. And they realized that if they're not going to do anything about it, they're going to lose a lot of customers, a lot of business. So they approached us. They also approached dozens of other companies. And we started talking. I wasn't the company back then, but they did a lot of tests, and look at how much time it took between, the first email and then the test that we started and the actual investment. Okay, and this is a critical point, because like these large corporates, these telcos, everything takes a long time. And like we're startups, we're really used to, okay, we're going to launch a new product in 2 months' time. No, so sometimes it's just not the case. And you need to have a lot of patience. And as I mentioned, I wasn't in the company then. I just joined like a year and a half ago after the investment. They had some budget for marketing. But our product team and the ops team works their asses off to make sure that it's to prove that we're actually the right offering for DT, and we are going to be their entry ticket to their cloud era. And then I joined the company, and we started working together and started thinking, okay, so how we're going to launch this product. And we wanted to shout off the rooftops, hey, we're this cool startup, we're Teridion, and we could envision the press release, Deutsche Telekom partners with Teridion, and we see our logo and all the Deutsche Telekom pamphlets and sales materials and campaigns and whatnot. And guess what? It wasn't the right way to go. The more we discussed with them, the more we had a conversation with them, we realized that the story is not about Teridion. The story is about Deutsche Telekom and Deutsche Telekom entering the cloud era. And we were the enabler. And we realized that if we're going to continue pushing for us, for our visibility, for our brand awareness, it's not going to work. We are not going to get the deals from DT, which was our goal. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit about what it really meant and some key takeaways. So you might say, okay, so basically what you're saying is you did OEM. What's the big deal about that? And what I want to say, as I mentioned earlier, Deutsche Telekom approached dozens of startups, and they chose us. And they chose us because we were really good at something that was not glorious at all. And this thing is called internal marketing. And it's really kind of connected to what Helen said. We were really good at identifying their pains and talking about them and thinking about how we can leverage our capabilities to improve their business. And that really required like a different set of marketing tactics versus the traditional marketing that you usually have in mind. So we had to identify the critical path and the gatekeepers, the stakeholders, and the processes. We're going to mention them a bit later on. Get them excited about the value proposition. Because if you think about like a pre-sale engineer, for example, who is the person who is advising the end customers about the right connectivity package for them, they need to understand Teridion's value proposition really, really, really well in order to sell it really well, in order to get that customer transition to Teridion and retain it, okay? So it's very important that everybody, like the technical people now, imagine, German telecom sales engineers, right? It's like, just keep that like image in mind. Yes, they're not, not the most visionary people out there, but they're important. They're important for the sales process. So we need to get them excited about the value proposition, have a really deep understanding of the product, and maintain the momentum. We had to make it really easy for them to sell, both internally and externally, and that meant a lot of product marketing. Again, not glorious campaigns. We didn't have like this huge signs on NASDAQ and all the fun stuff. But that's what we needed to do, so we did it. And zero ego for co-creation of our value proposition and go-to-market. Zero ego, like Teridion was not mentioned at all. The name did not include Teridion at all. We worked together really, truly as one team. So a little more about what it meant. Groundwork makes the dream work, and teamwork, obviously, right? So this is really like a company-wide effort. It's not just marketing. I'm going to mention marketing, obviously, but I had a lot of work involved, and I had to guide our product team and our sales team and our tech teams and our support teams, really how to talk to DT and how to maintain the momentum and make sure that the value proposition is being presented in a really, really concise and convincing way, to create together blueprints and service descriptions and help with critical processes like SKU setup. Who knew that setting up an SKU can take 10 months? I didn't know that, but sometimes, like in a huge telecommunications company, it takes 10 months. And make sure that they know all the onboarding process and configurations. We went to Berlin for sales training sessions with sales engineers and pre-sales engineers, again, to get them really understand the product, to get them convinced that it actually works, and to get them excited about where it could take DT. We were participating in relevant prospect calls and RFI consultation, which is something that nobody does that. Like even in partner marketing, you essentially, you give your technology, you kind of train them, and then you go. But no, we were really active and we really were proactive about the whole process. We have weekly updates with pre-sales, sales, and customer success teams throughout the sales cycle. Okay, so when they need to plan for RFIs, we advise them. We want to hear feedback from customer calls. If a customer is not happy about something, we want to know, because that further enhances both our product planning and the messaging. And marketing. This was basically the core of what I did. At Teridion, I'm a one-man show. Okay, it's just me, the head of marketing. But with DT, I was actually leading a team of dozens of marketeers who knew nothing about the offering. And we had really to tailor it all to different markets. So they were running campaigns in Germany, in the UK, in APAC, in Brazil. And each of them had a different messaging in mind. So I was like a consultant for them, but I had to really have a deep understanding both of our value proposition and what they're trying to achieve in order to make it work. We also shared relevant materials. We created materials together. We created the campaign strategy together. And we conducted lots of co-marketing activities in events that they had. We had online webinars. We used all sorts of online tools that they weren't really, doing beforehand. So really, when you look at the results, we were everywhere and we were nowhere. There's no mention of Teridion. Everything here is Magenta. Everything here is DT brand. This is not me here in the video explaining to this expert what the magnificent work of Teridion is and what's our value proposition. Some stuff are in German here, but you can see here, this lady here that's jittery. That's us. I want to, call my mom and tell her, look, it's us. It's my company. No, nope. It's not Teridion. It's not us. So we were everywhere and nowhere, and we really embraced that because the results were really good. That was done in advance. This is what the test phase. It was already done. So before I joined, as I mentioned. But the nice thing here is that we had really nice results. So we have a very robust pipeline with DT, which means that we're now serving companies, huge companies. I can talk about them. I feel like I am the Mossad, I can't mention the companies because again, it's not our brand, it's DT. But think about huge German companies, mainly in manufacturing. Some are in aircraft, some are in automotive. Okay, you can get a picture, that we're serving right now, with DT solution. We actually were approached by other leading telcos of the world, think about, other huge telcos, for POCs because they realized that we were their entry ticket to the cloud era. And we got access to leading analysts. So we're a small startup. We can't afford a Gartner subscription, but DT can. And when the analysts call DT and ask them, okay, so what's new on your plate for this quarter? They have nothing because they don't have that much innovation. But we are their innovation as their partner. So they get to pitch Teridion. And this is how we find our brand in their reports. and get great traction out there. And again, maybe this is why we're approached by additional telcos, and the B2B industry knows Teridion way better now. And on the direct marketing front, we actually got a nice lift in our direct website traffic that has nothing to do with our paid ads or anything that we do on our paid channels. And not only that, we got 4 times more deals from non-paid sources. So not only did we get more web traffic, it was also a much more targeted traffic that converted way better. So this is the story. Remember, piggyback, zero ego.